Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. On this week's episode of Bone Apple Tea, we sit down with Dem2. That's DEM2, the number. Sergio and Saul. Great chat. These guys are super cool, and they're coming up on the scene hard. They absolutely kill it. Their like stage presence looked nuts from what we saw. Just on their Instagram, etc.
Video version of this, just because you got to see it. It's just crazy. Go to their Instagram page. It's awesome. Yeah,
they do a great job with that. Very like business minded, and also just clearly enjoy what they do. Coming up on the Latin scene, Latin tech house, watch out for that because it's huge. We talk about basically how they got into music, how kind of big that scene is right now, especially like more in the past few years. We talk about, all kinds of things like how to read a crowd for a show and like maybe, we touch into like, pre-show rituals, which they had them, but we kind of discussed that in this episode.
Yeah.
And then, they talk about Bump and Grind, which is a label they started and kind of what they're doing with that and the artists that they're signing and how they're putting them on. And I really like the approach that they have, not only being involved in the music itself, but then also like, you know what, screw it, let's create a label and putting on other artists and kind of connecting people. And it's just a good way to build a community. And I think it was really smart on their behalf to start it now. It's early, but it's like better to get the experience now too, So
yeah, absolutely. And we talk about how they headlined their first show.
Yeah, of course. That was like awesome. A huge thing. Is they just headlined their first show, absolutely killed it, sold it out.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see more from these guys, and hopefully we'll catch a show soon. But this was a great episode, great perspectives and good attitude, and enjoy.
But dude, it's really great to meet both you guys. Plumpy speaks so highly of you. So it's really great to actually meet you guys.
Likewise, man. Yeah, we're excited.
Dude, so it kind of looks like you guys have been all over the place recently. Like, I got a whole bunch of questions, but I mean, like your Instagram's kind of popping. Like, I was like just scrolling through real quick and like visually, good job. Just because I was like, man, these guys are everywhere, huh?
Yeah, and but, the shows, I'm like, that's a sea of people.
They look nuts too. Just like the venue and the lighting. Whoever does like the lighting, I don't know if you guys. I always ask because like sometimes artists they'll have like a dude that they work with, or I don't know if you guys do the stage design or anything like that. But
yeah, sir. We have like this. I guess you can say we have this like criteria now. Like we have a team in place, and every time we post something, it's got to kind of like fit the style that we usually do. And Sergio has more info as like who exactly we kind of have helping us. But yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, I think I mean, nowadays, even when you get with management too, and any artist, and upcoming artist can tell you like, content is everything nowadays, like everyone's gonna look at your Instagram, your socials, see what you're about, see which way you're heading, how you're representing your brand. It's just so much. And before we even post something on Instagram, we have to run for approval, like, hey, do you guys think this will be good? Like,
oh, wow.
So it goes through a lot of steps, to make sure everything, like fits perfectly. I guess the aesthetic of it too as well.
Yeah. Well, you can definitely tell. You can definitely tell that there's like some thought behind like each post and like making sure things look uniform and stay on brand. Like it's very much like, oh, like this is Dem2 for sure.
yeah, definitely. We want to keep it that way. There's obviously different approaches. There's other artists that try different things. It works out, but this seems to work out for us right now. Something we actually been talking about is like, how can we put more media, more content out there? And, something like videos and reels, stuff like that, more production videos.
Mm-hmm,
but for now, this seems to be working, as we kind of like start our journey here.
Yeah, it's good to think that like, you have potential areas of content just from like you said, like production, right? Like in the future, if you guys need something, you're like, well, I guess we haven't done a production thing, right? So that's good. I mean, you guys post, it seems like pretty often too, which is pretty big. I feel like it's tough to keep up like a consistent schedule like that. But
yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
How'd you guys meet? And like, when did you meet? Have you guys been like producing forever and then you guys stumbled upon each other and then you're like, oh, let's do a collab? Or how did that work out?
Oh man, you want me to start it off, Sergio?
Please go.
Yeah, we kind of have like a crazy story, man. Like we actually like didn't even grow up together. We don't have that kind of story. We met when I was like 20 or 21. And that I would say it's like close to seven. Close to a decade ago. And when we met, I was already doing production. I was doing like back in the day, I was doing like Dirty Dutch, techno style of music, electronic. And Sergio was a friend that I met at the time that was going into raves, and he was a huge Tiesto fan, and we kind of just like started relating a lot of things. And I brought him over to my studio one day, and he was like, "Yo, like, you got some pretty dope shit here. Like, I would like to learn more." And eventually, like, honestly, not even, I would say like 2-3 years, he started just like being there always and kind of like giving me some guidance. It's like, oh, this is like what's popping right now in the music industry. And and from there, I kind of picked up like, okay, Sergio's really good with that. Like, Sergio's really good at like knowing what's hot, what's popping. He's like this music guru with like, when it comes to like titles and knowing genres and everything, basically what I was missing. So I was so open to be like, okay, Sergio, we can really partner up here. But I never brought it up. Like, he's the one who kind of brought it up after a few years and was like, yo, like, we can actually do a thing here. Like, we can become a thing. And eventually he was like, let's become a duo. Like, we can really work together and make this happen, make it a project. And ever since, we kind of kept going together as a duo.
That's awesome, man. It's really cool because like you can definitely tell that there's like love between the two of you. Like, you can tell that like your music is impacted by your ability to complement each other. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I guess like what was like one of the first projects you guys actually did together, or like recordings that you did together? And what was that like making that record?
Do you remember Sergio? Sergio has good memory.
So no, yeah, of course we've been through so many phases, I think, music wise, right? But we always stuck with house music overall.
Yeah.
One of the first projects we did was called Blue House, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't really remember the meaning behind it, but I know it was pretty funny at the time. It was just the lyrics was mostly about partying, like, and it was all original vocals too. Saul got on the mic, and we started with this thing like, we have to do original vocals. Sampling. I love sampling. We all love sampling, right?
Right.
But eventually, we want to be as original as possible. So we want to be known for that. And I believe the lyrics were like, "Don't be out of bounds.
Come dance at the Blue House.
Come dance at the Blue House."
Yeah.
Nice.
Right. So we pretty much, added some filters, kind of sound monotone recording, so it sounds good.
Yeah.
But overall, that was like one of their first projects, when I think it was more of on the bassy sound. Dun, 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 right? It was
yeah.
I think at the time we were making like a 125 BPM, 124 BPM, right, to start. And then eventually within the years, we start moving up the BPMs, until we hit the 128s, 127s. But that was one of the first projects. And then eventually, when we became Dem2, we did like an album at the time. Yeah, it was called Goosebumps Don't Lie. And which was like our first like self-release ever. We just, got a little distributor
and threw everything out there.
Yeah. Like all of our ideas that we did during that year, we just kind of threw it out there, because we didn't really send it to them most of the time. We were just, just kind of sharing what we did at the time. Yeah, that was like one of our first projects that became us Dem2.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Were you guys like doing shows at all, like before you guys joined, or like you kind of joined and then started? Yeah.
I can probably take that one separately. No, like I was just like tunnel vision on production. Like I started producing when I was 17. Exploring all kinds of genres, and even till when I met Sergio, I was never doing shows. I was never like sending music. I didn't even think about all that. I was just trying to make music and show it off to my friends. And eventually when Sergio came in, it's like, okay, he's the one who kind of like thought of like something bigger out of this and make it a brand and make it, a partnership. And then that's when we started getting gigs, after we started sending music out and stuff like that.
Like everyone else, personally, I was, obviously playing the the home parties, the quinceañeras,
Yeah,
weddings.
yeah.
You know, that's how we all start eventually.
House parties. Yeah.
Yeah, your local bar, dropping the top 40s. You know, I think we all been through that eventually. But then obviously later on, it's just gonna get busier and busier.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. And then do you guys have, so now, because I see it looked like you guys had some places in your bio. Are there like places that you guys regularly play at? It's like a thing, like every Friday we go to this place and every
almost like, yeah, you're speaking almost like a residency, right? Type of thing.
Yeah.
We have clubs that we play a lot. Like Sound, we played a few times now in LA. And it continues to happen. Like there's always conversations around shows happening there and wanting us to play. Audio has been a good one lately. We did our last show there. So yeah, those are the most common ones that keep happening.
Does it pick up during the summer? Like, I mean, I know you guys are in the Bay Area, right? So like,
what do you say, Sergio? It's pretty spread out, right? Or have we had most of them in the summer?
Actually, yeah. If you really think about it, we have played maybe 3 or 4 times a Sound during the summer, and then a couple gigs here in the Bay Area, including our last one, which was like our big headline show here for the first time ever. But yeah, definitely the summers when it gets busier, and I think everybody's in that party mood overall.
And a lot of after parties, man.
Yeah,
especially in LA, dude.
I can only imagine, dude. It looks like a wild time out there.
Yeah.
when you guys started playing together live, like you're saying, it's kind of like your first time really like playing live. What do you think like in the start was something that sort of, I guess like something that you've learned along the way that you think has sort of helped your live performances and whatnot now? Is it like crowd reading? Is it knowing each other? Like what kind of has enhanced your ability to have a really good show live?
That's a great question, man. Honestly, me and Sergio got this thing where, he focuses on putting the playlist together as I totally rely and, trust him for that. But once we get on stage and it's all live, we actually we kind of signal each other based on like how we read the crowd, because we can easily point to each other on the list that we see. Like, that's a good one for right now. Like we don't have time to be like, yo, bro, like play this one, like literally our flow is just point to that track. And then we both kind of give a thumbs up like, yo, that's a good track right now. Cause we have a set mind as to what to play, but sometimes the crowd could be different. Sometimes, you kind of want to bring in with a stronger track first than what we thought we would. And literally like we can just point at a track and kind of like make it happen. And that's been working out so good so far.
Yeah,
that's
I mean, like,
yeah.
How often, like, I'm sure you guys come in with like you said, like a playlist, right? Like, how often is it like, all right, this is a playlist that we made, and this is exactly how we go through it, right? I feel like more often than not, you got to feel out the vibe of the crowd, right?
Yeah. So even though we always put a playlist together, that's just normal with any, I think DJ producer before a show, they always make a playlist on Rekordbox or whatever software they use. It just never goes as planned, it just never goes as planned. So like Saul said, I think something that we've definitely gotten better was different crowd reading. We definitely see the vibe, see what's going on. I have this thing where I love to see the movement of people, like how their face is what they're saying, because I want to picture myself and Saul wants to picture himself being in the crowd and see what they want to hear. So based out of that, we always change whatever we have planned into, the intro is always different. We never go as planned. And that's one thing that we got in feedback for, which is really awesome, I think. We really good reading crowds for the most part, and in playing just the right music, and just keeping at the right BPM, of course.
Yeah. And there's actually like a strategy to this that Sergio really like found. It's like, you're almost kind of like telling a story. Like you can start off strong and then kind of like give some time to kind of for like people to mellow out because they've been going hard at it, and then come back strong again. So there's a strategy to it. And Sergio always tells me like, look, we can start off with this slower VPM, just like 126 and whatnot, and then kind of graduate up to like 127, 128. And it just depends. But there is a strategy to it. And I feel like we're still learning that, but it's been working so far for us.
Yeah, it's interesting. The last podcast we actually had Plumpy on, and he was mentioning how some headliners will try to dictate what openers play. It seems to be a really big sort of thing of controversy right now between like, oh, like if you're an opener, you should be playing elevator music so that when I'm on stage, everyone's having a great time. So like, what do you guys think about that? What are your thoughts?
I honestly seen that all over Twitter lately too. It's funny that you brought it up. We were just talking about that as well. Um, so it's a really interesting topic overall. I think in my views, obviously we are all openers eventually one day. When they're not, there's you have to understand certain things. Obviously, if you're not going to play the headliners original music, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's like the number one rule. You want to be respectful in that matter. Like, hey, that's the song that the crowd wants to see them or that person play.
Yeah.
Specifically. So that's one thing I will say. But I think if the opener's going harder than you, then you're probably not doing it right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think there should be like, oh, you should only play elevator music, right? Just keep it very, very deep house. Keep it in the way where like just play what you think it's right to play. And then obviously the headliner, that's what they're hired for. They get the main slot for a reason because they're supposed to, just run the whole show. But as an opener, I don't think there should be like, like play elevator music, Personally, I don't think we ever been told that before. We always kind of knew how to keep it, in a way like, hey, you're getting the party started. So you kind of know the mission of it, but I'm sure like I keep hearing so many different opinions from DJs, artists, promoters, like, oh, it's the promoter's fault. No, it's the headliner's fault. There's so many aspects to it, so there's not really a right or wrong question, but this is like our view on it. But like if you're the headliner and the opener's doing better than you, then there's obviously a problem, I think, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you shouldn't be like insecure about it where you're like, man, you should just also be like, all right, well now I got to go kill it, And I feel like too, just as somebody who's going to the concert, as much as, you're like, they're separate shows, right? The openers versus the headliners, they're separate like parts of the show, but it's like, you're going to kind of remember the show as a whole. So if the opener is like weak, you're like, even though it wasn't the headliner, it's still in your head. You're like, yeah, that show was okay. Like, I guess it ended good.
Yeah. It's a good point, actually.
But,
it's a really good point. Yeah. I feel like I made the analogy last time, and I'll make it again. It seemed weird to me to like for a headliner to tell an opener how to play their music. It would be weird if you showed up to a metal concert and the headliner metal guy said, hey, the openers have to play with no distortion on their guitars because I got to seem the most badass. And that would be weird. And so that's kind of the analogy I drew when I was thinking about it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I mean, it just really depends on the artist, like some really want to have control over their whole show and they'll probably put those limitations to openers, right?
Yeah.
It really depends. But for example, for our last show where we had it was our biggest show ever. We played with homies of ours. We know their start to this and why we asked them to open for us, and we literally didn't even mention anything about music.
No, not at all.
We're just like, hey, we're there to have a good time, play what you want. There's obviously, like Sergio said, there's norms, right? That you just know you obviously won't play the headliner's music. But other than that, yeah, I mean, no limitations, man.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just kind of like an etiquette thing. But like, so you guys, so as a headliner, like you do pick the openers then too?
Yes.
Is that usually?
Yeah. I mean, because there's like different approaches, right, Sergio?
No, yeah, it depends. For example, this was our lineup curated by us, and we specifically wanted this lineup because I think it was like the perfect fit for the night and the show. But it depends on the obviously promoters that are booking you too. They usually have all this set up for you. Like, hey, they usually book direct support and the main headliner, and then the openers and the closers after, right? Mm-hmm. So I think when it's lineups that we kind of have full control of, yeah, we will pick it like last time. But overall, it's always they already picked up for you automatically. Okay. I guess that's just like the promoter's job overall to kind of figure this out, and then start reaching out to like their managers and artists overall singles.
Awesome.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any like pre-show rituals that you do? Or like you guys, are you like, do you like to go in like hyped up or like relaxed or what's up? What do you guys?
Do we have anything, Sergio? I think, we still feel like we're still early on in our careers here. So we haven't really figured out a good ritual, but I mean, we know about the pregame. Everyone does a pregame, right? Whether you're an artist or not, we definitely pregame with some, some seltzers, some White Claws or some shit at the hotel for sure.
Nice.
And then I mean, nothing crazy. Just that. Yeah.
I think we're just kind of, I think time flies anyways. So by the time we get to the venue or, whatever we're playing, we just kind of like, hey, let's kill it, let's do this shit. That's what we're here for. No, but we don't really have like a ritual, which we probably should eventually. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me of kind of like sports people tend to be into rituals, right? Like they'll, they wear a certain kind of underwear. They tap the bat 3 times on their foot, like they got all these things before they go up to bat or whatever it is their sport they're playing. And you kind of do hear like musicians and bands will sort of do the similar things where they find like, okay, we can't go out on stage until we say this thing. Even Kevin Hart will do it before he gets out on stage to do comedy. He gets with his team. He says like a little something, hut hike essentially, and then he goes out and he kills it.
Yeah, we definitely amp each other up though. Like we're gonna kill it. We got this, and I think some of the requirements, like we gotta have some water, something like that. But that'd be it.
What do you think is like something that you had mistakes with in the beginning that you've learned from as artists, either independently or together, that you think other electronic artists could learn from?
Oh, that's a good question. We might have 2 different views on this.
That's good.
For me, I would say initially, like I said earlier, I was just so focused on production, right? And that was like, I thought I was going to be able to take that all the way, right? Like I'm doing my portion here as a partner. I'm focusing on production, and that was it, right? Let's have Sergio master the CDJs, master the mixing. But I've learned that that it definitely helps if I put an effort to learn that side as well and work together, because it actually helped our recent shows where I started to pick up on learning how to mix better and whatnot. And that's something I learned. It's like, even though I'm in a duel, once we're on stage, we got to perform together, like that's something I definitely learned along the way.
Yeah. Same thing on my side, I guess our weaker points, that's where we're here, where to help each other out and what we need, to improve in our area. Same thing on my end. Saul was way more versed on production than I am. So he helped me in the area and I help in the other area for his music in general and mixing and mastering, of course.
It's all about finding that right flow. And I think we got it down.
It definitely, I feel like whenever you enter any sort of like partnership, either like business or music or whatever it is, there definitely seems to be like a really good chemistry that's needed. I mean, even we noticed that in podcasting that we've kind of developed over the past like 3 years with, timing, not talking over each other, letting each other ask questions, and like it's a very similar thing. Like what one person brings to the table can help enhance the other person if you work together on it.
Exactly. It's super important, man. Like even when we're in production in the studio, I have Sergio have his input valued, because we've actually made plenty of tracks where his ideas were like on spot, you got to value that.
Yeah.
I think one example of that, I think the reason why we're also here, it's this EP that we signed with Space Yacht overall. It was called The Birds and the Bees EP that we signed it in 2020, I believe. Right. At the time we were making a song for one of our friends' label. And then that specific song, I heard it for the first time and we were checking it out, and then we were like, dude, this song has so much potential just to like get signed on a bigger label overall. At the time, this song was called Ice Cream, right? And it has some pretty like weird lyrics. You know how we find lyrics and start throwing and start playing around with it, right? But then I don't know what got into my head, and I told Saul, I was like, dude, this just gives me vibes about a bird. And then because at the time we had like this sample just kind of knocking on wood, like like
it was
that.
like the percussions and elements that kind
of And I'm like, dude, this sounds like a woodpecker, right?
Yeah.
Like a woodpecker. And then he was like, yeah, you're right. So we changed the whole flow of the track, and then it was a foundation of that track called Woodpecker, and then kind of found some ambience of birds around, the jungle in general. And because of that track, we were able to sign with our Space Yacht family. Shout out to them for seriously.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Congrats. Man.
Yeah, and then they signed 2 tracks EP, one called Woodpecker, and then the other one called Bus Talk.
Yeah.
It was a reference of a noise of a fly and bees.
Yeah.
Like zzz, right.
We got weird, man. We got very weird with that.
We got so weird with that project, and then Space Yacht like loved it, and we ever since we signed that EP with them, like our life pretty much changed dramatically. I must say, like we started getting shows with them, started flying for shows with them.
That's exciting.
Started signing more music left to right with other labels as well. So that inspired us to even continue what we did. And then throughout that time, we started helping each other to improve in our areas, like you asked, help each other out for the most part. But yeah, just bring in the ideas in the production session where we always sit on the weekends, just kind of just balances for both of us.
Yeah, that's really interesting too, because you never really know, like there's always that like, anytime I'm in a creative space, I always say like, no, like all the ideas, set them all on the table, because you could say the worst idea, you could have a terrible idea, but that terrible idea makes you go, yeah, wouldn't it be crazy? And then all of a sudden you're like over here. And even though that idea is really bad and it still will forever be bad, you're now down a path of really good ideas. And so it's actually really cool. Wait, does your microphone light up? Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Yo.
That's
kind of cool.
That's so cool. I've never seen that before.
So in terms of like influences on like the music you guys make and what kind of stuff you listen to, like Bay Area. I don't know if you guys are like born and raised Bay Area, but when I think of the Bay Area, I think truthfully, I think of hip hop. Like I think of like Mac Dre. And then, even house music, there's like Mark Farina. It's a little older, but he does house, right? And then I actually think Illenium is from the Bay Area too. I don't know. Like, do you guys like have any like Bay Area inspired songs or like?
Yeah. I think initially when we got together, we were really heavy on like genres like Dirty Bird. Are you guys fully aware of like that style of Dirty Bird? Very bouncy, very a bunch of toms and percussions.
Okay.
That and that actually originated in the Bay Area, I believe. That Cloud Stroke, he's from out here, and it was really kind of like a direction for us, which is hence the Woodpecker project, very Dirty Birdish. And that's kind of how we started. We were influenced heavily by those artists, Dirty Bird artists.
Mm-hmm.
Cloud Stroke, Green Velvet, that kind of style was heavy for us then. And then gradually we just started picking up on like, Chris Lake. We're a huge fan of Chris Lake. I've been following his stuff, even his YouTube production videos, like years ago. That guy has been producing for years. And, like those kind of influences really kind of get us to like go with a certain style. But for the most part, we listen to everything, man. Everything house, everything, we like to get creative. We're not like particularly stuck on one thing anymore, how we thought we were with like Dirty Bird. But now it's just like, it kind of helped us just kind of expand to anything that we want, because like that Dirty Bird project, we just got weird with it and we just kind of took off from there.
Adding to that as well, I think nowadays, like we also noticed that our cultures in general, I'm Peruvian, so I was Mexican. We have so much culture to also display when it comes to music as well. So something that we encountered ourselves in the past few years was using more percussion in our music, right? Overall, and representing our Latino culture, right? That we're so proud of overall. And then I think this past records that are going to come out later this year and then early next year, it's going to show that we have also focused on just expanding our Latin percussion for the most part. And even you mentioned the Bay Area. We love to do samples too as well, just from our favorite rappers here, big fans of Pilo, E40, I'm so cool, John, Mac Dre, Too Short. We've done so many bootlegs using their samples as well, and acapellas in our SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So we try, like Saul say, we try to just create everything for the most part, but we're just really proud of what things that we're doing lately, which is just really repping our Latino culture, and not just our music, but in our sets as well.
Yeah, I feel like too. Like you got a great selection of rappers from Bay Area kind of hyphy sound, but also in terms of Latin music in general, I feel like it's over the past few years kind of picked up a lot. Which is good, especially if you guys are going to drop some, because I don't know if it was Bad Bunny or what, but I mean, I feel like he kind of super popularized it. Yeah. And I listen to Spanish music all the time, but it was just funny to see, I feel like in the past few years, especially, which is great because it's really good. It makes really good dance music, right?
Yeah,
so
very good dance music.
It's just kind of cool.
Latin tech house is the future, my man. It's blasting off. Yes. And it's crazy how it kind of shaped us up in some way. Like I said, right, we started off with this Dirty Bird style mindset in the beginning, but it expanded us to do more. And the funny thing is, Sergio and I, even though he's Peruvian, I'm Mexican, we fucking love reggaeton. It's reggaeton is our shit. So we were like, okay, we can make remixes to some of these old reggaeton tracks, and then make something out of it. So I think just the timing worked out because we met these other amazing producers that were doing the same thing, like Suave, Hita, Red Tape. And it's we just kind of grew a family out of it. And that's sort of been the direction that our shows are. It's we play a lot of Latin style tech house, and it's been taken off. But it's crazy how the timing worked out. And it's just we've always had an interest in doing this. Right, Sergio?
Yeah, me and Saul, ever since we met, we've been fans of reggaeton in general, the old school specifically, right? Before the Bad Bunny, Bad Bunny era. Yeah. And we just feel thankfully, obviously, to artists like Bad Bunny, who have taken this genre to a whole different level, to the Billboard charts. And it's just amazing to see how the fan base that it created, and then it obviously helps us as tech house artists as well to create these bootlegs and edits, with those vocals, and they just make the people happy overall.
Yeah.
From the feedback that we got in for sure. And then meeting all our amazing friends that are also, experimenting and creating these sounds, it just makes it better. It's like a one family that just keeps getting bigger every time.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. You almost forget how many Spanish speakers there are in the country. And then you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Most of them, to be honest.
Yeah. It's actually kind of insane how much the population of Spanish speaking has gone up in the US, even in the past 5 years.
Yeah. I actually think more than English, to be honest, at this point.
I think we're bridging where Spanish is almost more common than English. Yeah. Did you see Bad Bunny's in that new movie with Brad Pitt?
Dude, yes.
Bullet Train. Have you guys? Did you see it? You saw it?
I gotta go see it.
Good.
It's good. I was. It's funny because he's not in it for a super long time, but the time that he's in it, I'm like, that was perfect for him because he's not known as an actor. He's known as a musician. So you shouldn't give a musician a super important role, but you give him a good role. And he had a good role in that movie.
Yeah.
So
he nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool to see music artists sort of bridging into the acting space every now and then.
I gotta go watch that.
Yeah, dude, it's really good. This is kind of a sort of off the wall question, but one thing that I don't see a ton of in the EDM space, regardless of genre, is music videos. I think music videos tend to be rap artists and everyone else but EDM people. And I always wonder how come. It seems strange that EDM artists don't take, because you have the crowds. You have it takes forever for a local alt rock band they will never see the crowd size that you see. So to me, it seems almost natural, like, oh, make a live music video to like a song you're releasing. And that could be a really easy way to make a music video. Is that ever something that you guys talk about?
Dude, that's a great point. That's a good point.
I mean, you guys are playing in front of thousands of people, it seems. I mean, it looks like it. It might not literally be 1,000, but it looks like it.
I think what it is maybe like, and I could be wrong. It's just my opinion. Like the music videos that are out there is for bigger artists. I don't want to just say mainstream, but towards mainstream. You know what I mean? Like, so I think there's less focus on music videos for more like the underground scene. I think that's probably the least priority. I mean, I could be wrong. There could be a bunch of music videos out there for underground artists, but I think that's what it is. Because all the videos I've seen is like, people like Afrojack and, Marshmello and like huge artists, right? So maybe that's why. Maybe just the underground artists just want to stick to playing and, being underground in that way.
Yeah. It does seem like a pretty cool, like, I don't know. Every time I hear an EDM song, I'm like, man, you could make such a cool music video for it. And it's not like it's got to be some crazy budget, but you get a halfway decent story, you throw in some B-roll. I mean, man, you got a sick music video just waiting to happen. Even if you followed you guys live. I mean, that would be something. I know you guys are always thinking about content. One thing I would love to see from, especially maybe even you guys too, would be like a behind the scenes thing where we get to see you in your pregame state leading up to the stage. And it's very like video, like I'm following, I'm following like what you guys are doing. Maybe you guys run through like, we just see kind of like fly on the wall, like what it's like to be you guys. I feel like that's like really easy and good content. Have you guys ever thought about doing that?
It's funny, like, and Sergio and I talked about this before, right? Remember, Sergio? Like, I actually got into the whole vlogging thing a few years ago, and just I would vlog because we go to a bunch of raves, right? We go to a bunch of festivals, and I just recorded for my purposes, put it on the archives, show whoever, like, hey, I've been to this festival, I've been to that event, and I just vlogged the shit out of it, right? Like, having a great time. Sergio and I talked about, like, we should do something like that for the Dem2 brand. Like, this is what our lifestyle is nowadays, like, but I think what it is like, we've been so busy, so focused, right, on production, on, management and everything, that you kind of like leave that off. Yeah. And you don't have time for it, right? Yeah. I think that's what it is. But
we do try to include it as much as we can. We usually have one of our friends to start recording on our GoPro, and then from there we kind of look at the footage later, and we try to create reels as much as we can with that content, before getting into stage. We just kind of put in like a little recap video. So yeah, you do have a great point. I think that would be awesome to see, like, kind of behind the scenes from every artist, what their perspective of what is like, their ritual, what do they do, right? I think the audience will definitely love something like that for sure. Yeah,
it kind of humanizes you a little bit too. Like, it kind of gives that like, oh, like these guys are fun. These guys are chill. I want to, if I could, I would hang out with these guys. Like it's that kind of a feel for it.
Good point.
So what's bump and grind? Let's talk about bump and grind. What's up with that? What is that? How did you guys start it? Yeah, okay, there you go. You got the shirt on.
It's all Sergio right there.
So this is my baby, and me and Saul's baby right here.
Yeah.
So behind I have this philosophy behind every brand. You always need to have a way to help other people also build up. Same way other people have helped us, which is why we created Bump and Grind. I think as an artist, the ultimate goal at the end of the day is always to have a label, right? Or some sort of imprint, right? Where you can start managing music, signing the records, start distributing them, That's like, but me and Saul were like, dude, let's just start early on this, let's see where it takes us. And man, ever since we created Bump and Grind, it has been a blessing. I think for the most part, we have over 14 original signings already that we already have filled up all the way till February next year. Already were releases. We have received support from Dombresky, Jamie Jones, A-Craze, Gordo,
It's pretty
Diplo.
nuts.
And I can keep going. Yeah, we have really good following so far. And we just don't only sign original tracks, but we have a free download series on our SoundCloud for Bump and Grind where they send us edits and remixes, right? Not official, but we just put it there as a free download for people to hear. And that eventually created traffic for even more producers and DJs to start then sending more demos, right? Because, sometimes not all of us are filled with creativity. So when we have writer's block, we just grab an acapella from an old track and we start messing around with this. So we have some sort of, so just like we don't think the day goes wasted, right?
Right.
And
Yeah,
that's what we did with Bump and Grind. And I think this past 6 months have been amazing with the label itself. We have we added 2 new members into our team, Gibran and Joe. They have been running the label now for us as well. And then we try to help out as much as we can. And we also have 96 by our boy involved too in mixing and mastering the music for us. But yeah, like I said, it's just our imprint that just keeps getting bigger, I think. And we haven't announced it yet, but we have a really big compilation of really good artists coming out in December this year.
Nice.
Yeah, really
first announcement. This was our first announcement.
Some really big names that we have for this compilation. So we're like going all for it.
Wow.
We're gonna call it Cherry Picks Volume 1.
Oh,
I like that.
I like that too.
So it'll be
we're
like a recurring thing.
Yeah, I think we'll probably do the next one maybe sometime in the summer next year. But yeah, like we're so proud of Bump and Grind and our team helping us, of course. Yeah, like I said, I can go on and on about this, but it's kind of like,
dude. I mean, feel free, talk about as much as you want. Like it's your time to shine here. So if there's anything that you want to cover on it, like feel free.
Oh yeah, of course. So we have can't mention the artists, of course,
Yeah,
but,
right.
So we have maybe like 6-7 more releases this year.
Nice.
And then the traffic for the free downloads, I think we're piling up to like even 40 releases already for even mid next year by then too as well.
Yeah, and I just want to throw in like it's grown so much because not only our journey has grown so much in parody as well, but like some of these like younger artists or just like new artists are realizing that, and that's why they're believing in this brand. In this label to kind of share their music. So we have a ton of like unreleased, demos from these artists. That's just like, it's insane, man. Like we're starting, our eyes are picking up like a lot of talent, it's like, it's pretty cool on our end, but it's also cool for them because, we kind of help them out with the releases and whatnot and play their music. And it works out. That's the whole beauty of it,
Yeah.
Adding to that too as well, one thing about having a label too, you get to play all this unreleased music that nobody has heard. We're prepping for sets. We're like, we notice on our tracks, like, oh shit, this is all literally unreleased. Right?
Oh wow.
Yeah. So like all the names say Master 1, Master 2.
That's wild.
The never ending.
Final.
Yeah, I was gonna say the never ending, the for sure final 2.
Yeah, dude.
Like on our last show, literally our whole list is just like all Bump and Grind demos and our original music, unreleased stuff.
Wow.
It was awesome to see that feeling when we were exporting. We're like, damn, we get to test all these tracks. And then,
you ever have one come up and you're like, shit, which is this? Which one is it?
Is it Master? Are we playing Master 1 or Master 2?
I hope this hits.
Did you like it with the snare where it had more high end, or was it better when the snare was lower? Like, what is it?
We're definitely facing those problems now. Well, I don't know if it's a problem, but we're definitely facing that nowadays.
Yeah. That's really cool stuff. Did you?
Well, I was just thinking, like, so you guys have a label. Like, were you ever thinking, like, I don't know, and I don't know how complicated this is. I'm ignorant to the whole process, but, like, were you guys ever, or have you thought of like in the future, like having some kind of show where you grab some people off the label and you just put them together, and you know what I mean, like almost coordinate some kind of show?
Definitely, dude. We were thinking of like a yacht party.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, Bump and Grind yacht party. Yeah, we definitely got some ideas for sure.
Yeah, that sounds sick. I like that.
At the end of the day, you want to put your artists same way that Space Yacht did with us. They signed us. They want to put their artists, on the spotlight. And then same thing with Bump and Grind. Eventually, we have to build a foundation of the label first. Start branding out, sign more artists, get more content out, and then from there, you start building up to events, and then it just escalates from there little by little. Like it's all a process, but me and Saul and the rest of our team have definitely talked about all these ideas already. So we'll eventually get there, with the events part, but definitely on the yacht party.
Yeah,
for sure.
That sounds sick. Have you guys ever been out to the East Coast?
We personally, yeah, but not to play shows.
Yeah, just to visit. Where'd you go? Where'd you visit?
I went. Well, I was in New York, and I've also been to Miami. Actually, no, I'm tripping. We did play in Miami.
Hey,
that's
all right.
I just thought of New York.
I forgot about that.
No, we did play in Miami.
Look at that. You're trying to hide information from me. I see you.
I forgot, dude.
What show was that for?
We played
during Miami Music Week.
Two shows in Miami Music Week.
Yeah.
Wow.
The first one was for The Hideout, which is LA. One of our really good friends, Javi, too. He runs that with another person named Ruben as well, one of our friends. The first time they do themselves to do a show in Miami called The Hideout, and it turned out amazing. The whole place was packed. I don't really remember the location of it. It was just a crazy night. Yeah. And then following 2 days, we got booked to play with Gordo, obviously Carnage, right?
Okay.
For his Taraka show, Pilo's Tequila Garden. And the lineup was insane. It was obviously Gordo. It was Black V-Neck. It was Suave, D. Celadon. It was Mikey Berenice and Brian Southwell too.
Yeah.
So how's it feel when you're like looking at the lineup and you're like, wow, like these are people I listen to? Like, how does that feel as an artist when you guys are also playing the same show as them?
At first, we get that sense like, oh shit, we're playing with them, oh shit, we're opening for this artist. No, at the end of the day, inside, we're still like a fan. Well, we're always gonna be a fan, but it's honestly, I think me and Saul would probably relate. Like, it's just a pleasure just to be there. I'm very thankful for the most part, never taking anything for granted. I think definitely networking in this industry has been very key. Not just everybody can say that. You have to really work for it. And then, like I said, when it comes to that sense where like we're playing with the artist, like, damn, let's be a good look. Let's perform well. We're just thankful for it, man. That's really how we can describe it.
Yeah, that's a good way to be. I think the one thing that can get kind of overlooked with like networking is people get so focused on the networking that they forget that they also have to be like a cool like a good person, like someone that you want to be around. And some people get into the like almost like fakeness of it. I've met a lot of like people where it's like you can kind of feel what they're saying is all the positive stuff, but they don't even believe it themselves. They're just kind of like parroting what they hear on social media is what you're supposed to say in a conversation. But like that, having that genuine connection, being genuinely grateful is something that you can feel from a person. I'm feeling that from you guys when you guys talk about that. That's really cool. It's a good quality.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I think you're right. You nailed it. It's like we've learned how to balance that because we don't want to come off as like you said, we're not being our true genuine selves. Because we're so hyped for something that. It doesn't make sense to go that route. So we're just, we try to be ourselves. We've been fortunate enough to meet like bigger artists that kind of allowed us to be ourselves. And then from there, we're just like, oh, dude, we can literally just continue this on for whoever we meet, right? However big the artist is or not, we're just ourselves. And, we appreciate that. So,
that's you really can't be. That's like the best way to be, really.
For sure.
Well, I know you guys got a little time constraint, so I figured I'd check in, maybe give you a few minutes to like get to your next thing. Is there anything else that you wanted to sort of tie up before we head out?
Sergio?
I mean, like I said, on last Saturday we had our first headline show. and audio. Thank you to the Space Yacht family.
Yeah, get that a buzz. Get a buzz. There we go.
It was awesome, man. I think we're still thinking about that night, because we're like thinking, oh man, like are people gonna come? What's gonna happen? We've been kind of stressing out, but also super hyped about it, and we end up selling out the venue that night. Yeah. I know we posted some pictures on Instagram. It was ridiculously packed.
Nutty.
Yeah.
We knew every person in that club.
That's awesome.
It was dope, man. Like we were connected with everyone that we haven't seen in years, just to come show, like, we can say that the whole Bay Area was there to support us, we try to show our cities like as much love as we can, since most of the scene is obviously in LA, compared to the Bay Area, especially with house music. So we try to just expand when we can here. And then, man, it was awesome to see everyone there, and of course, big thank you to our management team, Posh and Brad. They've been grinding out for us to make this happen. And of course, Space Yacht, we wouldn't be here without them for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's super exciting, man. I mean, like, just the idea of getting your first headline show and it not just being successful, but like a wildly successful experience is got to feel real good.
Yeah. And because of this too as well, tomorrow we got booked, like, I think last minute, you can say, to the Academy tomorrow. We're going to open up for Say My Name. So we're going to be flying out there.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
It's going to be interesting for us, because it's a little different on the genres, but we're excited.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that'll give you a moment to really put your fingerprint on the event, you being different from everybody else. It's like, who are the you get that kind of effect.
We understand the mission for sure tomorrow.
That's exciting. Shit.
And maybe I could just add, like, this is the beginning for us, man. I feel like we've been working so hard, and it's finally let us kind of like meet the right people, have some sort of direction, have a good team. So with that in place, it's like now it's the beginning for this, So like we're ready to put out so much music, man. We have so many ideas, and we're really pushing that Latin tech house right now, and we got a good family around us, and things are going well. So we're pretty excited for what's next.
Awesome.
Hell yeah, man. Can't wait.
Too.
I'm hope one of these we got a lot of shows we got to go catch, to be honest, at this point, cuz I haven't been to a show in a minute, and also like, we have so many good artists on. I'm like, we got to just make a trip out west and just hop around and go to a bunch of shows.
We really should just take like a week-long vacation to like LA area and just like try and hit up as many people and jump on as many shows as we can.
Maybe do some like on the go interviews or something, or like make some content or something, but make a whole thing out of it. Yeah. But so how can the people find you on socials? What do we got here?
Sergio, you want to drop him?
Sure, yeah. For Instagram, it's pretty much the same for Twitter as well. Dem2 Music. Same thing for Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And Spotify, Dem2, of course. And same thing with Apple Music as well.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Sweet. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on. It was an absolute blast talking to you. I'm sure we'll keep in touch and all that. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, guys.
Likewise.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys.
Later. Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to Bone Apple Tea. If you like the show, please give us a follow, like, comment, subscribe, whatever it is. Tell your friends about it. And make sure to follow us on Instagram. That's Bone Apple TV, BoneAppleTeav on Instagram. Thanks so much.